So, good day everyone. My name is Bangquiao and
I'm Caliso Joy. So today we will be sharing with you some information of reef environment.
So, on the topic are the reef environment, types of reef fishes, species interaction, activity patterns, reproduction, early life history, and the last one is community structure. So, reef environment. A coral reef is underwater ecosystem characterized by reef-building corals. Reefs are forms and colonies of coral polyps held together by the calcium carbonate. So, this is the map shows the coral reefs. The map shows us the coral reefs are located in the tropics and subtropics between 30 degrees north latitude and 30 degrees south latitude. Coral reefs are clearly confined a brown zone and encompassing the tropics and subtropics between 30 degrees north latitude and 30 degrees south latitude. There are four major regions of ocean have tropical reefs. First is Indo-Pacific region, Eastern Pacific region, Western Atlantic, and the last one is Eastern Atlantic. So, Indo-Pacific region. Indo-Pacific regions contains the abundance of all three major types of coral reefs. Eastern Atlantic. Scientists have discovered a massive deep-sea coral reefs stretching at least 85 miles long off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. Eastern Atlantic. It extends from the Bermuda, southern Florida, and the southern Gulf of Mexico, through the Caribbean and along the South America Atlantic coast to Cape Rio in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro state. So, Eastern Pacific region. Eastern Pacific region. All stages are framing reefs, barriers reef, and atolls are exhibited, but barriers, reefs, and atolls are most common. So, there are 6 major zones. First is offrey floor. Offrey floor is a shallow sea floor surrounding reef. This zone occurs the next continental shelves. This zone is often with the reefs and most diverse area corals and calcareous algae providing complex habitats areas and offers protection, such as cracks and crevices. Reef drop-off. The reef drop-off is for its 50 meters habitats for reef fish who find shelters on the cliff face and the plankton in the water nearby. The reef drop-off applied mainly to the reefs surrounding oceanic islands and atolls. The reef face is a zone above the reef floors or the reef drop-off. Reef face. The reef face is zone above the reef floors on the reef drop-off. The zone is offered the reef's most diverse area. Corals and calcareous algae provided complex habitats and areas offers protection, such as cracks and crevices. Reef surface. So a reef switch of materials at the near the surface of the ocean. Reef can occur naturally. Natural reefs are made of rocks at the skeletons of small animals called corals. Reef flat. Reef flat is a shoal-wide, flat, broadish area of the reef. The reef is found in very shallow water and can be uncovered during the low tide. This area of the reef is only slight and slope toward the open ocean. And the last one is lagoon. Lagoon is shallow body water separated from the larger body of water by a narrow landform, such as reef, barriers islands, barriers peninsulas, or isthmuses. Types of reef fishes. There are many ways to classify this reef, but understanding the structure of fish communities, the clearest approach to classify them by feeding habitats. So, there are 3 general feeding categories. First is general carnivores, specialized carnivores, and the last one is herbivores. So, if we say general carnivores, those fish have classic recovered predator body shape, with large flexible mouth that were suited to seizing large prey. 3 basic types: nocturnal, crepuscular, and the last one is diurnal. Specialized carnivores. So, specialized carnivores, predators can be highly specialized to feed a single species. In some cases, even to a single phase in life cycle for a single species. While such as specialization usually increases the rate of success of individual predators, it is often evolutionary dead end. If the environment changes and the prey is quickly reduced in the numbers, extension of the live predators may be net results. Prey populations fluctuates often due to the weather and the disease of their source of food. To a large extent, highly specialized predators is doomed to follow with its own population fluctuation. Herbivores. A herbivore is an animal of anatomically and physiologically adapted to the eating plants materials, for example, foliage of marine algae. for main components of its diet. As a result of their plant diet, herbivorous animals typically have mouth parts adapted to the rasping or grinding. Species interaction. Because of tropical reefs are both physical, benign, and ancient environment, the fish fauna is complex, with complex patterns of interaction. This interaction, especially predation, competition, symbiosis, and mimicry, are very important determinants of community structure. Predation. The variety of way in which fish as predator has already been discussed, but feed fish also serve as prey, both for each other or for reef invertebrates. Thus, they have many means, both morphological and behavioral, of protecting themselves. Most feed fishes possessed by a formidable array of spines, which often are venomous or can be rigidly locked in place. Many have cryptic or descriptive color patterns as well, to confuse predators. Behavioral, small reef fish protects themselves from predators either by shoaling or hiding in reef's crevices. Many reef fish spend more of their lives in a small area, so they have well-known hiding place instantly available. Others may roam the reef. Typically, it shows but returns itself specific areas to hide when they are not active feeding. While resting, small fish are still vulnerable to crevice predators. So many fish crams themselves into the smallest possible hiding places and wedge themselves which erect spines. Parrotfish can secrete a cocoon or mucus about themselves while resting, which seems to provide protecting against the predator that find hidden prey to smell or touch.
Activity patterns. One way that reef species avoid interaction with other species is to have periods of activity that do not overlap with those of potential competitors or predators. Indeed, one of the striking aspects of fish communities is the difference between night and day on a reef. During the day, the deeper cracks, crevices, and caves of reef filled with the active fish. Reproduction. For most of its life, a typical reef fish stays in a very restricted part of a reef, where it lives, spawns, and dies. This residence for more fish lasts only a year, but for other fish, it lasts 10 or more years, so depend on what kind of fish. Divers commonly recognize individual fish for several years in the same place, so most smaller reef fish likely live to 3 to 5 years. Spawning may take place year-round in equatorial region, but lasts to 4 to 6 months at higher latitudes. So when we say spawning, it means to deposit eggs or fertilize spawns. During the spawning, the frequency of period of spawning ranges of daily to monthly. Before spawning, larger pieces migrate to short distances to places where conditions are optimal for new eggs. Smaller fishes or species can't afford to migrate, so they stay to spawn in place. Most reef fishes are mass spawners from only temporary bursts, but have a surprising number of monogamous. So when we see monogamous, it is where males and females have prolonged pair bonds. They include many butterfly fishes, angel fishes, and anemone fish. Early life history. One of the most remarkable aspects of tropical reef fishes is that virtually all the telecysts have pelagic larvae. When you see pelagic larvae, it is an excellent mechanism for sending out large number of locusts to propagals to move away possibly from the parental area. Many reef fishes occurs throughout the biogeographic regions. It because of larval dispersal. Most reef around islands and widely separated from one another. This means that the vast majority of the larvae would never find a place to settle down, even if they live for weeks or months as maiden do. There are also a distinct advantages to having that larval loop population being part of a close population, because a species with such a strategy ultimately is likely to be a better adapted to local conditions than one that depends exclusively on recruits from elsewhere. Regardless of the nature of the population, the hundreds of species of reef fishes are continuously sending larvae into the waters above the reefs, and these larvae are continuously settling out onto the reef. Community structure. Our perception of reef fish communities is strongly influenced by four factors. So first is most reef fish are highly specialized, having developed complex adaptations to a complex environment. Second, the number of reef fish species is very large and their population densities are high. Third, among spatially separated reef patches is great deal of variation in the composition of fish fauna. And fourth is reef fishes produce millions of larvae which are continuously settling out of the reefs. There are four general hypotheses. First is the niche differentiation hypothesis. It holds the fish community is composed of specialized fishes into niche. Second is the lottery hypothesis. It argues that a steady rain of recruits onto the reefs must occur. Third is the recruitment limitations hypothesis. It suggests that mortality rates of pelagic embryos and larvae of reef fishes are so high that there are never enough recruits to saturate the environment. Fourth is the predation hypothesis. It argues that plenty recruits are arriving on the reef to fill vacant species, but the intensity of predation on the small fish is so high that they really live very long.
If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too.